But what entrepreneurship is really about is building up systems and processes that don't require you and the business to depend on you. It's a funny story because it was through Syndicate, so Jason Calacanis, and it was one of my first and smallest investment I've ever done. And the reason I bring it up, when that investment came through, and I'm like, okay, it's a meditation app. I'm like, I like what they're doing. I'm really into mindfulness. It was around the same time that Intelligent Change started, 2013. I'm like, there's no way this is like a venture-backed company.
Yeah.
You know, this is like, I'm like, I like what they're doing. I like that idea. So, you know, here's $1,000. You know?
Yeah.
And now it's over $1 billion valuation.
Yep.
They actually have revenues, you know, probably close to 200 million. And that small investment probably outdid my whole angel investment portfolio if they exit, whatever happens.
It's asymmetrical returns, man.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Yeah.
But why I bring it up to Intelligent Change, because they're in a similar space, it just allowed me to, I'm like, wow, there's so much potential in this market. But beyond that, I see a real need. Even we ourselves here with Intelligent Change, like we barely, you know, we weren't even trying to grow it, and has done so well. You know, we sold over 500,500 journals to date. Even the productivity planner, which doesn't get as much praise, has done over 200,000 units, so not very far from the 500 journal. And we're barely scratching the surface because I know, I guess my lesson was for what we do with Luxy here in regards to once you start operating as a business, because the thing with a lifestyle business is that you don't try to create too much organization, too much structure.
Sure.
And you try to keep it very lean. Versus a real business, you actually give what the business needs and what you need. And that's a big separation. I think a lot of people miss out on that.
You gotta eat your own fucking dog shit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people missed out on that. It's like, including myself, I've been there, and I'm still currently doing it. But I think operating a business from a perspective of what does a business need versus what do I need, it just becomes a different beast. And I really want to take the business in the direction of what does the business need? And because even in these few years, we've had so many people who fed off our kind of rising, you know, where they're like, and that's what happened. I remember with my previous business is that once you start getting successful, people will come and eat your food. Like they're like, oh, okay, there's food there, and they'll just
saturation,
come.
Man. You get competition right
away.
They
get competition.
You only have a delta of a time frame to do domination.
Yeah, and you don't have to be, you know, being first mover is nothing. Yeah, I can say we're probably one of the first journals.
Yeah, I was gonna say timing was perfect when you guys
in regards
came out.
to like doing the whole kind of guided journaling practice where it's not blank, where you actually give people a guide to kind of what to fill in and how to do it. We're for sure one of the first. But then the market, there's so many now, you know, 1 minute journal, 6-minute journal, 6-minute diaries, all that stuff.
1 minute journal?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to come out with a 30-second journal.
30-second journal. And I think, so now for myself, and this is, I guess, what we had, you know, between UJ and I, it was just really my desire to really want to take it to the next level, and wanting to grow the business and try different stuff. Because I think once you do have the luxury of, like we do, of financial freedom,
sure,
I can do whatever I want, and especially if I don't have investors. But I like to be in a position where I can make the decisions to, like, sure, pay this person $50,000, you know, because I'm very still emotionally driven. I'll go with my gut a lot versus like, ooh, like what should this be? And the way I operate, I tend to be like a little all over the place. But that's my style, you know.
So what, you think you're going to expand into other products, or like what's the vision with this? Because you got 2 products right now.
Yeah. So 3
products.
We have 5-minute journal for kids.
Oh, cool.
As well. Yeah. So, you know, once people start having kids, and I really believe that just early childhood education and getting people young, because at the core of Intelligent Change, what it's about is really how do we help people create a certain mindset? Because the way I was able to shift my life is because I was able to shift my mindset into how I think. So at the core of the mission of the company is how do we help people develop a positive mindset in their life? And so with that, there's so many different, for right now, to be clearly honest with you, we just need to get basic fundamentals in place of the business. So even though we've been operating now for more than 6 years, we don't have the basic fundamentals of the business, meaning operations, customer service, marketing, logistics, actual teams, actual.
But this is a great example. So
I have one customer service staff right now.
This is a great example. The older I get, the more business involved. And I'm in the opposite spectrum. I'm in like the blockchain crypto space where everything's VC funded, hundreds of millions of dollars. There's no lifestyle business. You eat your own dog food and it's like either do or die. And I've been, you know me, I've been in many different industries. I've come to the firm conclusion that timing is the most important thing when it comes to business. I don't care how smart you are. I don't give a fuck how much fucking money you have. Timing out of everything. Coupled with product market fit. So you can have, if you have timing well and a good product market fit, you can have the worst operation, the worst managers, the worst CEO, the worst ever, least funded, but those two keep you going.
Definitely. Those are, I think I agree with you. Those are the key. However, what I've also learned over the last few years, your operations execution will make or break you. Meaning like, yes, you can still be in the right product market fit and everything, but if you're not, you still have to do some sort of execution work.
Of course you do.
Or
else you're going to get some next guy comes around and puts you out of business.
And so I have a lot of respect for operations people, especially with our last business. It's just, once I started, because what happened in that business, similar to Intelligent Change, it was like being at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. And we grew very quickly. Luxy Hair went from like $1 million to $3 million.
Your timing was impeccable, man.
To $5 million in 3 years. Very smooth. Also, very little staff. And then I plateaued at 5. And then for the next 2-3 years, it was at $5 million revenue. And I was comfortable because I'm like, I have 2 staff and I'm 7-figure profits. Like, life is great.
See you later.
Like I'm in my mid-20s. But then the same thing started happening is where people started coming in and they would generate year 2 $40 million. And that's what I'm saying. So coming in and executing properly, because there is still a big difference in regards to being an amateur versus a professional. And I do recognize that difference. I'm not stating I'm still an amateur at this point. But I have so much respect for professionals in the game who come in and who can execute very well. That's what I'm trying to learn. But I think with us as a business, I'm more for the long term. What I mean by that is one of my favorite books of all time is Small Giants by Bo Wickman.
It's a good book.
I don't know if you ever heard about it.
No, I read it.
So in that book, it's the opposite of what you hear now or even the past decade of, it's the unsexy businesses. Meaning, it's not fast growth. It's not whatever. It's just more, his whole thesis is that majority of businesses in the economy that actually bring the jobs, that bring the tax revenue and whatever for the economy, they're these businesses that you never heard about. It's like Joe Montana who makes $100 million. You never heard of him. But Joe and his employees might be happy and they might have a good business. So really, with Intelligent Change right now, in a way, it's, even though it's an established business, but we do have to. I'm operating right now like a startup, but as I'm in that stage, I'm thinking about, okay, what are truly our values? What is the vision we're working towards? And I'm in this stage. This is very early. You're catching me at a very early time right now. I'd say it's like year 0. Because the transaction just closed about 2 months ago or so. And then so this new decade, I'm just excited for it to just how I can mold, how I can shape, what I can do. And for me at the core, I'm a creative guy. I'm not an operations person. So that's why
you're the visionary.
Visionary. Like I definitely have the vision in my head. I still keep it tight in regards to and then bringing on the operations people with us.
The saying, man, you need a dream team.
Also, I think there's another great book is that helped me in my previous business a lot is Traction by Gino Wickman.
The startup book.
And he has another book called I think I forget what it's called, but he speaks about the importance of having a visionary and an integrator in the business. And that's what I found out. I was like, I'm more of a visionary type. You know, I like even with this podcast, you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know there was instructions here where to park and where to do. I'm like, I wish I knew about these things. I just don't follow, you know, I didn't do well in school in that regards. I just don't follow rules in that T. But with certain operators, you need people who are process oriented and who can actually build up the vision.
What would you say is like some of your biggest lessons learned or mistakes you made in the past with the businesses that you had?
Oh, which ones do you want to start with?
Oh, fuck. Start with Luxy, then go into...
I'm saying lessons or mistakes.
I think they're the same. They go to each other.
Okay. Hands down, my biggest lesson so far is delegating to what you're not good at. I think most entrepreneurs fails because they try to do everything.
Yeah.
And that's why I think at the core, entrepreneurship is when the business is not reliant on you. And that's the biggest lesson I probably had in the last decade, is that if you actually want to be an entrepreneur, you know, it's very popular now and sexy, but what entrepreneurship is really about is building up systems and processes that don't require you and the business to depend on you. So for example, for our previous, you know, exit that just happened, no one would have bought that business if the business was reliant on me or my wife. The reason we're able to step out of that business, don't have an earnout, and do everything is because we had proper processes and people in place that the business does not require us. So that was for sure, hands down, one of the biggest lessons for anybody, including myself, is you need to get the right people on board and make sure that you have people who are filling in for your weakness. And, you know, one of the greats of this, and I've had the pleasure of hanging out with him in person numerous times, is Richard Branson. Because if you meet him, he's not the brightest guy. You know, I'm not. It's not as a way to like. I refer to myself in that way.
Yeah.
He's not like this mastermind genius, very ego driven, like take over the world. He's a fairly laid back guy. But what he does well is it's not all for himself. He's very comfortable sharing and leading the vision and whatever, and getting great operators on board. So as an entrepreneur, you have to get good at that. And that's who I'm kind of looking after, is really just looking after who's good at doing that. So, and then mistakes, being slow in hiring. Same thing. I think being lean can actually be a disadvantage, where it's good to be lean and have that mentality. But if you're not moving fast enough and if you're not bringing on people, you're slowing yourself down. So there's this balance to play with. You don't want to go too fast, but you also don't want to go too slow. But there is a dilemma, you know, when you are a lifestyle entrepreneur, as I am, you do question everything in regards to like, how is this going to affect my life? You know, and we're not the ones, both me and my wife, to sacrifice our well-being for just a business. And that's a big separation between a lot of people. So, but in regards to mistakes, lessons, contracts. You know, same thing. I'm more of a handshake guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I'll look you in the eye. We shook hands. I'll deliver on my thing. But that doesn't always work, and people won't always honor, unfortunately, your kind of what you thought was a contract, or how you thought about it, or, you know, everyone looks the world from their perspective. So it's good to have things documented so that both parties agree to how certain terms should be laid out. So same thing to any entrepreneur starting out or getting into partnerships or anything like that. I think a lot of times I wouldn't think about contracts, where I think now it's like, okay, it's important. Even though I'm still like, contracts, lawyers.
Lawyers always win, man. Even if the contract is there.
Yeah, they have to unravel it, you know, and deal with
interpretation of the contract.
Yeah, so that I would say those are just some of the key ones for sure. But unless it's like school, like unless you have to actually go through it,
yeah,
you don't learn those lessons. Sometimes you have to learn them the hard way.
You know, there's a saying: a smart man learns from his mistakes, a wise man learns from others.
Yeah.
And And it's difficult though to learn from others because you don't feel the pain.
Yeah.
Right. You're only observer of the pain.
Exactly. You're like, oh, that's not important.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's interesting what you brought up. It's like it's in vogue right now to be an entrepreneur.
Very sexy.
And it's important for people to understand not all business are the same. There's many ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
You mentioned lifestyle entrepreneurship. You know, it's very different than if you need heavy duty, whether it's angel round, VC funding, or whether it's like bootstrap, for example, what Dembski did with Unbound.
Yeah.
So there's many different ways to approach things. I think a lot of people have imposter syndrome, or they're looking at different businesses. Like the reality is like, you know, if you, depending on your industry, you know what I mean? Like in the tech space, good luck bootstrapping. You got to raise.
Yeah.
The amount of capital that you need to hire engineers and developers. E-commerce, you can bootstrap, right? You can get products from China, this and that. There's ways you can slowly build up and get some angel investing. I think people, they need to really pause and reflect on what they're trying to do and what they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, dude, like if you need to raise money, like, and build a business that's hyper growth, you're going to be working fucking 18 hours a day for the next couple of years.
Well, I think the biggest thing for a lot of people to understand is the moment you get investors is the moment you get a boss. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think, in fact, I can probably work and be way more successful if I had investors, because I would just, I think most people do. They operate better when there's somebody else, they're responsible to somebody else. But when we have to be responsible for ourselves, you're like, yeah, whatever, you slack more. But when you have a boss, all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I have to, do stuff for that person and deliver. And I think maybe it's more of an evolutionary thing as well, where we're like, okay, we're part of this tribe. I'm now have to call, answer this person. I have to make sure I deliver. And that's why one of the other great lessons that I've had is definitely hiring people. I think hiring people is great because you become more responsible. You're like, oh, snap, there's somebody showing up. I have to show up, and it makes you want to deliver more. So I think another thing that you brought up that is very important for a lot of people to consider, as you said, is the vision. And I think the most important thing that I always recommend to people starting out to think about is, what is the vision of the life that you want to live? Yeah. Right. And looking 3-5 years, even 10 years ahead, especially as we're entering a new decade, really figuring out, what's that perfect day for you? What does that look like? Because a lot of people do things for the wrong reasons, and then they end up where they have to deal with all this stuff. They're like, oh, I didn't sign up for this. Yeah. Well, yeah, you signed up because you wanted to make this amount of money, or you thought you were going to make this amount of money. Bro,
when I hear people saying they go in startup land to make money, I start laughing. I'm like, it's the worst choice possible. Worst.
Yeah, you can be in private equity and then other stuff.
There's so many easier ways, man. Brokering deals, sales commission. Yeah. Like, I can think of 10 fucking ways I can earn cash tomorrow that's liquid. Yeah. That doesn't give me stress as running a business does.
Yeah. Another thing, I was speaking recently also to somebody, and the thing that happens as you also, people make more money in professions. Yeah. Let's say even certain managers or CEOs, or if you be in private equity, if you make like 400,000, 300,000, $500,000 in salary. Yeah. And I'm like, and you want to be an entrepreneur? I'm like, good luck.
Good luck with that.
I'm like, because the actual opportunity cost for you to pay yourself a salary of 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, you're gonna have to be making millions of dollars. Your business has to be generating. Oh yeah. After you pay your employees, tax, all that stuff. Yeah. For you to take that home, it's gonna be some time, unless you really.
I'll give you a real example. We had a guy we were advising, and he's in a super cushy job, has 2 kids, has benefits, like getting paid north of like 220 salary, plus full like really prime benefits. And he had his business idea. I was talking to him. I'm like, this is a cold hard truth. You will not pay yourself a penny for the next 3 years. Yeah.
Can you do that?
When I sided on his side. I'm like, dude, man, you have kids, you have this benefit. Like, the reality is, man, like, I know you want to start this, but like, one, does your wife support you 100%? Do you at least have a runway to support your kids? God forbid something happens. Yeah. Like, this is a business, and his is a complicated bit. It wasn't one of these like, I'm gonna have a product and sell it. Like, it's a fucking complicated tech play. Yeah. Like, we're gonna go raise $10 million, complicated tech play. Yeah. I'm like, dude, man. And he chose the latter. He's like, he stayed at his place.
Yeah, you have to, and this is why I'm really grateful for how I started my journey. Yeah. Meaning it's so much easier. I was living with my mom with my
Yeah.
future wife, unemployed,
Yeah.
and just
But I think you also had a very like you had a very I want to say the product is simple, but the business is simple in a nutshell,
yeah,
right?
of
So
course.
you had something that's tangible, maybe a couple of SKUs, which is important. You're not like having 20 fucking
Yeah, I'll
SKUs.
say it's a mono product.
Right, it's a modern product. There's a market base
Yeah,
already. You know,
yeah,
you're going Maslow hiker needs. People care about beauty. People
yeah,
care about looks. You
yeah,
know, there's a million weddings and events that they have to go to on a daily basis all around the world. So demand is there. The supply and demand market's there, and you can focus on like one SKU, put it on the store, and
yeah,
let's see how it sells.
yeah,
You know, that was really wise of you. Like this is a business that you can be running from your mom's house and
yeah.
controlling the whole ecosystem from your laptop.
Oh, definitely. So when I said about mono product, like not modern, mono product,
Mono
so
product,
one.
one.
Yeah. So if you think
Yeah.
about even, let's say, Luxy hair, it was we were selling hair extensions, but it was just pretty much one SKU in
Yeah.
13 different colors.
Yeah.
It was one product. And one of my friends from London, he has this whole thing called mono product manifesto. He just really believes that the future of business is actually going towards like just do one thing really well
Sure.
and don't try to do everything, because he's in
Yeah.
the restaurant business.
Yeah.
And it's called Burger and Lobster. All the
Burgers and lobsters?
Yeah, yeah, Burger and Lobster. It's a really big business.
Interesting.
And all he had at the beginning when he was starting out the menu, because his the analogy is, you know, you go to a restaurant where there's so much choice. And there's
Yeah.
like 3 pages. You have too many options.
Yeah, process by analysis, man. You're like, whoa.
But also
Yeah.
think about how it is to actually manage that.
Yeah.
In regards to suppliers, getting all that stuff in. So a lot of people think they need to offer more in regards to options.
Yeah.
But in reality, people value less. They'll actually, if you're like, they'll actually know you for something if you're just doing one thing really well.
Mhm.
And his whole thing is just like, just do one thing, do it really well. And that's what we did. So same thing with, let's say, Luxy Hair back in the day, right now with the journals, just starting out slowly. And another thing I would say to any, you know, entrepreneurs or people starting out want to listen is that I even made another mistake I did. We launched another business called Love Hair, and we, you know, once you have money, you start getting cocky, and you're like,
Well, you can take risks.
yeah, you
more.
can take risks. So
Yeah.
you're like, hey, we're gonna launch a hair care line, but let's launch all the SKUs at once.
Mm.
And so we launched, you know, 6 SKUs. It's still not a lot, but when you want to, let's say that business, we actually developed everything.
Ah.
So our own intellectual property in regards to formulation, we formulated each product. We went to like, you know, one of the best formulators, you know, made in California, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And the lesson there is like, you know, it's okay. I can lose, you know, $500,000. But to anybody starting out, and when we started Luxy Hair, we risked $20,000. When we started Intelligent Change, we risked, me and EJ together, probably like $5,000.
Yeah. You started off with credit cards with the
With Luxy Hair,
Yeah,
line of credits,
Yeah.
credit cards, the whole
whole
shebang.
nine, yeah.
But same thing. When you're young and you lose that, it's fine. Like you go bankrupt if you're in your early 20s, you go back to work, you don't have kids, it's fine.
Yeah, you're good.
But I can definitely empathize with a lot of people who may want to start a business and they are in their 30s or 40s and they have family and they have, you know, mortgages and things like that. That's a bigger opportunity cost.
Yeah.
So my recommendation overall and lesson is start earlier,
Yeah.
the better.
Earlier the better as you get more experience. But interesting thing though, if you look at the bell curve of a successful entrepreneur, it's a male who's in its mid 40s has claimed bankruptcy once already. That's the norm.
Yeah, I can still see that. That's why I'm excited. Even, you know,
And the most performing, if you look at like total startups,
Yeah.
businesses, it's mid 40s is the most successful.
yeah, I'm so pumped. I'm so
Yeah.
pumped to get to that stage, and I can see how even now I'm so like young in regards to my journey.
Totally, man.
I'm so green.
Yeah.
And I can see how I think probably by that age you do get more of that experience.
Yeah.
Even though same thing, I was just meeting somebody for lunch, another founder here. He used to work in investment banking and private equity, and he did like 30 mergers and acquisitions or deals. And I was like, and actually going through that ourselves with Luxy Hair, like going through an exit. And I was looking at these private equity guys. I'm
Yeah.
like, they have in regards to, if they may not see it, but they actually get to go under the hood of the company and ask really like important questions, like how did you start? How did you operate? where's this come from? Where are the cost expense? You really get to learn about the business
Mm-hmm.
way more than in university or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that, and study and see what works, what's successful, how do they operate, how do they acquire customers, what's their cost of acquisition, all that stuff. What's their unique ability in regards to growth. And you can, like this guy, in regards to reverse engineer it, take the best of, and then improve. So in a way, I'm like, hey, if I used to want to be a banker, right? But I just got fired from a bank. But if I even had that experience of being in banking maybe for a few years, hey, who knows what kind of business I could have built, because I would have more of that experience, as you said, to do something else. But as you said, timing is great. So if you have a certain idea like we had, and you just jump on it, you're like, hey, I really have a feeling. That's how I operate. I really have a feeling that this will take off.
Going back to love here to finish off that.
The SKUs?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to wrap that up, is that my lesson there is that don't invest in, just start. If I look back, I'm like, what we should have done is just do one SKU.
One SKU.
And then you roll out. Let's see how it works.
Yeah.
And once again, going back to that idea of mono product, people do have like, wow, these guys are just doing one thing. It must be good. That's the only thing they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't realize that, you just don't have a budget.
Mm-hmm.
There's like whatever this product is, and that's what they do, and they do it well.
Mm-hmm.
And you put a story around it. I think when you're starting out, it's way easier than trying to handle all these SKUs and all these products and make all these investments and just kind of go all out. As you said, it depends on industry, but we're speaking about people just starting out who might want to just have a lifestyle business.
Yeah, consumer products.
Yeah. I think one product to start with is a great thing. And then you roll out. Then you expand. Once you have some cash coming in.
Do you see any trends, though, in the consumer product space right now?
Let's see. Huge. I think in regards to, we see it, Time Person of the Year, Greta,
yeah.
And if you think about the younger generation, a lot more people, we're becoming, with not everything, but you slowly see it where people are becoming more aware. And I think, I always have this thing. I have a lot of, the reason I'm laughing, a lot of our image of how people may represent us, how we actually operate, is very different. So I'm saying a lot of people think like, you guys like luxury, very, very materialistic, all that stuff. Actually, we're very minimalistic. We don't actually like, the way many people think like we are.
You're pretty minimalistic.
Like, I don't have a car. I don't own a house. And in regards, we may have this image of like pop in regards to preppy, all that stuff, but we actually don't operate in the way that maybe are the perception of us maybe. But the reason I bring it up is I have friends who are into these like whole movements against like, Extinction Rebellion, against the businesses are bad, and oil and whatever, and like Greenpeace,
goddamn commies.
Yeah. So I have a lot of people in my circle. Yeah. Actually, I'm friends with them as well, and I'm definitely all for that. But I live in London now. We have these massive protests where they shut down streets and they're camping out their Extinction Rebellion, and business is bad. I'm like, guys, you guys are really big hypocrites.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is like, all you guys are consumers.
Well, these guys at protests, I always ask the question, like, what the fuck do they do for a living? These guys have the luxury of camping.
Yeah, massive luxury.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, who knows what they're doing? My point that I'm trying to say is, instead of us as people being like, hey, all business is bad, capitalism, all that stuff. Like the reason, like you said, the reason you're able to protest right now is because of the system that we're part of. Of course. And instead of us saying business is bad, we should really be focusing. And this is where the opportunity is, what I'm trying to kind of plug. The opportunity really is for those people, make options, right? You're saying these businesses are bad. This is an incredible opportunity. This is where I see the trends going. Incredible opportunity to create alternative solutions for people that are more eco-conscious, or that do require less resources, or do treat their staff better, whatever that is. That is the opportunity. because these people obviously are angry and they're upset.
It's too much work, bro.
No, but I think
It's too much work for them to come up alternative options.
I think they will there are people that are coming in, but that's the opportunity. That's the trend.
Yeah.
To really be able to, I think even as you know, once you start dipping your toes, and it's like, at first you're like, oh, you think Whole Foods is healthy, and you realize no, most of the stuff in Whole Foods is actually crap. What's the next level that we can do in regards to whether it be packaging or foods that are good for you? And you can see a lot of companies now succeeding who are coming out with solutions that are next level. Just like there's a lot of greenwashing and all that stuff in marketing, but what about actually providing people with that next option, whether it be for the clothes they wear or the food they eat or the experience they do, really be able to provide those options for this Greta kind of generation or anybody else really who want to live in a better world. And the beauty, and one of my favorite quotes of all time is, I remember it was Steve Jobs or somebody else, but I think it was Steve Jobs. He said, everything that you see around you was created by somebody exactly like you. And as an individual, this is the beauty. This is why I love kind of being in business and entrepreneur. You get to create. To me, I love physical products as well. I get a high literally off seeing people interact and use our products in real life. Whether it be with our previous business, if they use it as for their wedding, or with the current business, whether it's on their coffee table or their bedside table, and they write in it every day. You get to be part of people's lives. The same thing, how these people who made these microphones or these cameras or this building that we're in, it's all built by people. So I think especially if you're upset or angry, that's a perfect opportunity for you to actually create a solution for people.
So you're thinking of more in the eco direction of trends of products.
Yeah. I think in regards to, there's a whole lot of talk.
Yeah.
And that's why I mentioned Greta and her being named Time Person of the Year as getting Trump all upset. I think if that is the kind of conversations that are going on right now in regards to people, and I just come back from LA. I was there for the last 2 months, and now this is a big thing to say, but I think there's a lot of talk, but there's still not as much action. I think Europe does way more for the environment than they do even in California and LA, just through actual just stuff. And what I'm trying to say connected to business is there's a lot of opportunity to be able to disrupt these other businesses in the way they operate, especially in all these basic areas of life. Clothing, drinks, plastic bottles, right? Provide solutions. How do we actually make it easy and accessible for other people to get the same product they currently consume now, but now consume in a way that's going to have less impact on the planet? Because as we do have more luxury in regards to our thinking, then people can protest, then people can do other stuff because they have that time, they have that mind space to think about, oh, this is wrong, what's wrong with society? Great, provide the solution.
And my only rebuttal for the green movement is good luck with India and China.
Yeah, but I think even China's they're trying to change.
Bro, they're opening up coal plants.
but I know, but I think from what I've seen, I think there was some articles that I read is that China as well, they also understand that the world in a certain degree have used their country and their population to...
Here's another mindfuck that people understand. The 7 biggest super freighters, the ships that transport all the goods that we use around the world, produce more pollution than all the cars combined.
Yeah.
See, the problem is a lot of people get cognitive dissonance, right? It's an egotistical thing, right? When I don't care about ego, I care about raw data.
Yeah.
Show me the lever that actually fixed something that's sustainable. But that lever is not the accepted answer because they're looking for cherry-picked data that supports your political belief system.
Yeah. No, totally. So I think, like you said, I think even with those kind of knowledge and data to understand, okay, what actually moves the needle?
Yeah.
Right? And
planting more trees works.
Yeah, maybe.
It does.
Yeah, but I think maybe even actually protecting them.
Totally, like the Amazon. Let's plant more.
Or if I could say it's still new trees versus old trees.
Yeah,
so it's not like also kind of like, hey, we can cut these ones, but these are like these ecosystems and rainforests that have been there like forever.
I think the trend for the future is going to be more sustainable. Free trade's great. I think the global trade has shifted too much.
Yeah.
Where you have trade policies that's cheaper for you to buy food coming in than buying food locally.
Yeah.
Like chickens from China are cheaper than chickens locally.
That's retarded.
Because of the trade agreement that they have, right?
Yeah.
The tariffs. And so for me, it's like a lot of the pollution is from transportation. A lot of it.
Yeah.
Point A to point B. And I mean everything being transported, every single good you can think about. How do we eliminate why do I need food transported here? Why can't we be self-sufficient? Like, especially in Ontario. You know the size of Ontario?
Massive.
Do you know how much food we can
like
grow?
France, probably. Right?
Bro, it's huge. Like, it's a mindfuck, Canada, actually. It's a massive mindfuck.
Yeah.
We have the second biggest landmass on the planet for a nation state, and we have 35 million people.
That's amazing. That's why today
it's
today I posted on my story just holding up my Canadian passport. I just got one today. I think it's literally
my buddy. He does. That's amazing.
I was just saying how I think I'm really grateful for Canada.
Canada's great.
And I think long term,
Canada
is like one of the best places to be at or have like that connection with.
Yeah, Canada's good. Like my buddy has a medical company where it's crazy. They provide they provide biological material from pigs to be transplanted to humans. So like valves and heart, like that type of
because our DNA probably closely matches, right?
Yeah, and so they can make structures, whether it's like you need a new valve or a new artery, you get it from the pigs. Okay. And he was telling me about it. He has a device where they're doing some research. He's like, there's places in Canada the air is so clean that you can do open heart surgery.
Oh, wow.
How good the air how clean the air is.
Really? That's amazing.
But then I go to China, bro, I wear a mask every time I go there.
Yeah, but I think it is changing.
Yeah.
Right? All that is changing. But I think I really agree with you on that. These are, my wife, actually Mimi, is the one that pushes a lot of these sustainability initiatives within our companies. So you can say right now with Intelligent Change, it's just like, most of our customers are in US.
Okay.
So why are we ocean freighting these products into the country?
Yeah, just have a shipping place in there.
Or just have manufacturing shipping right directly from the country here. For Europe, have a different, and just do it. And just by that action, as you said, you'll actually minimize your carbon footprint so much more than just like, hey, it's cheaper here. And I mean, you might, especially,
you can make a deal, man. I'll go to some state and be like, yo, listen, I'm gonna bring manufacturing to this state.
Yeah,
this is the tax fucking incentive that I want, and I'm gonna hire this many people, and this is what I'm gonna build here.
Yeah. What's happened? I think that's why I do have so much respect for once people get into more bigger business. It's so much work. Like you really have to be committed.
Of course you do.
To the next level. Yeah, but I'm saying I think a lot of our generation, including myself, we're just like, we see on Instagram, we see people follow us or whatever, and they're like, no one actually wants to do the hard work that is required to actually move the needle. And I'm saying, especially even these people who are protesting, things like that, I have so much respect that you're going out of your way to do this. Bro, but the next thing you can do is actually the hard part, and the real part is actually by making a difference by creating like actual solutions.
Bro, my favorite guy, I don't know why they put Greta. They should have put Boyan. I think his name is Boyan. He had the water project where he's cleaning the ocean.
That's incredible.
He actually fucking built something as opposed to just he built something. They've identified. He was just on Joe Rogan, so I'm super happy for him.
Yeah.
And I've been following his project since like 15.
I remember that.
Yeah, 2015. Following it. And they identified the top 8 rivers that put majority of the plastics and pollutants within the oceans. So originally they wanted to be like, okay, we're gonna
clean this up,
clean the oceans, but they realized this is a never-ending.
It just keeps going.
Keep going. Like, where's it coming from? Well, let's do the R&D, right? So they figured out out of all the rivers, there's these 8, I think it's 8 or 7 to 8 primary rivers, primarily southeastern Asia area.
Yeah.
And these rivers are the ones who are producing all the trash into the oceans.
Yeah.
So they created these automated solar power systems that go within the river that's 24/7 sucking out the plastics and trash. Like there's a kid who dedicated his time and vision to actually build a product as opposed to like, you need to change. You need to change. Like, dude, the dude did it.
He's changing. Yeah.
He's doing it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think I have so much respect for somebody like that who's...
And he doesn't get press. It's like, what the fuck?
But here's the thing. I think that's why maybe Greta and that guy have to team up.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that I've learned. Same thing from, being in the States for the last 2 months, just based out of LA. It's just everything's storytelling, man. Like, I think at the core of, we're both fans of Sapiens and Yuval Noah Harari.
Mhm.
Like, humans are just storytelling creatures. Like, that's our unique ability.
Mhm.
And that's what we like to utilize the most. The thing is, it just gets hacked. We just get hacked by these sensational news, and that's why we have Trump for president, all that stuff. It's just these people who are able to hack our minds and to get our attention. But in reality, this Boyan, right,
Yeah.
who's actually making a difference. I've seen him get some press and some stuff, but in reality of how do we shift towards and getting people to realize, hey, you can actually, and breaking down what he's doing and getting other people on board and getting these people who are protesting to actually be volunteering for Boyan to be clearing up these rivers. That'd be amazing.
But there's a bunch of stuff. Like, even in Canada, Canada is probably the prime candidate for this tech. Prime. It would make every Canadian's life easier. Cost of living would cheaper, and quality of life would increase with this one technology.
What is it?
Fast, super cheap transportation. So whether it's a Hyperloop would make sense, because Canada is really fucked up where it costs me more to fly to British Columbia than to fly to the UK.
Yeah.
On average is like $700, give or take. So if you look at all the different months, if you average it out, for me to fly to Vancouver or Kelowna, it's about $700.
Yeah.
I can fly to the UK cheaper or Germany than $700.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm going through international waters and a different border. So Canada has very expensive flights.
Yeah.
You look at real estate, right? So you look at how do we make quality of living better? The reality is, and I'm just speaking based on the 2016 consensus for Toronto, is the average house in Toronto was like $740,000. It's much more now. The average household medium income was about $62,000, $64,000.
How
They don't. That's it. There's some new stats saying that Canadian families about $200. They're $200 away from being insolvent. Like, we're in debt crisis. Cost of living's too high. Now, if you look at real estate, so we're talking about, let's say, whether it's purchasing a property or it's renting, it's a bell curve, right? It's supply, demand, economics. Majority of the high value, it's concentrated within Toronto area. This applies to every major city, whether it's New York or whether it's London, San Francisco. It applies to everybody, and because people want to be there, proximity. But what happens if I can create a Hyperloop, or it doesn't have to be Hyperloop, some form of fast, cheap technology or transportation, where we'll use Toronto in this case, where I can be living in Burlington. So people who are listening or watching from Burlington, Toronto, with your car on the highway on a regular day would take you about 2 hours of traffic, give or take.
Yeah.
That's each way. So that's 4 hours. That's half a day.
That's what people are doing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, there's a lot of people. A lot of people go from Barrie every fucking day.
Yeah.
So 4 hours of your day gone. Burlington is a city on the lake. It's actually nice. I love it, right? What happens if we can have some form of a Hyperloop, or whether there's like quad, helicopters, which they have now coming out, but the Hyperloop is the best, where I can go from Burlington, the Hyperloop can go 650 kilometers an hour, and I can be downtown Toronto within 18 minutes. Why? Nobody in their right mind would do rent for $2,800 downtown Toronto for a one bedroom bachelor pad when I can be in Burlington for $1,000.
Yeah.
So the Hyperloop, or some form of fast, cheap public transportation, is a technology that helps everybody.
Yeah. Well,
everybody.
But even I think what you're speaking about is still a lot has to be done to get there. But a simple example of even hacking this way of thinking.
Yeah.
So there's a book, Alchemy.
Apollo.
We're blanking on both.
Yeah, you met the guy too.
Yeah.
What?
Recently,
Coolio.
no.
Is it P? Is it?
I'm gonna have him on the podcast as well. We got
Paleo, paleo.
no, not
I know who you're talking about.
yeah, we're both blank.
Yeah.
Anyways, post lunch
Yeah.
conversation. What he speaks about there is like instead of a lot of people, especially in Europe, let's say in London, want housing on the tube stops.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, if you actually got a house on the train line, it's actually way cheaper because people don't think about it, and you can be a little further, but actually it can actually get you to the city faster than even in the tube.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of just what you're saying is
Mhm.
exactly that. I'm saying in Europe we already have those kind of solutions where
Mhm.
people don't think about it. Because the unique thing about even living in London that I realized that in Toronto the house prices are expensive everywhere.
Everywhere, man.
It's like I'm commuting from Richmond Hill today. Also took me a long time to
Bro,
commute.
my cottage went up in value 85% in the last decade.
I believe that.
It's a mind fuck for me. I'm like, this? I'm like, what the fuck? I should have bought the whole fucking neighborhood.
Yeah, I want to buy some property in out in somewhere in Ontario, but what I was just trying to say is that the commute, like in Toronto, in Richmond Hill, the houses will cost $1 million, and in the city they'll cost $1 million. In London, once you go outside the prime core, like everyone thinks London is so expensive. It is. Like in my neighborhood, it's nuts. However, if you go like Richmond Hill equivalent of London, they cost the same as houses here. So I'm like, how come in this city, like it's the houses cost a lot everywhere? So there's just some things like, but I think what we're all just trying to talk about, and from the corner I'm saying, their opportunity in the next decade and decades to come has always been, is how do we provide solutions and opportunities? I think for anybody starting out, thinking about business and what to do, I'm like, just go through your own frustrations, where you're upset at, and then create it. I used to be pissed with customer service and the way you get treated as a customer. So when we create our companies, I want to make sure that we treat our customers right and do what's right for them. You don't need my approval. So our customer service people would have authority to do whatever. You can send flowers, you can give them refunds. It's your call. So it's about you as a business person being able to provide those solutions for people.
Since you have like a global audience, and do you see, like, going back to the trend things, like everything we talked about with the eco stuff, that's a global trend?
Yeah. Well, in the more developed parts of the world, like you said, in China,
should be focused more though in those countries.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Do you see yourself going into any other countries as opposed to like just United States or Europe? Like, do you see yourself expanding and like focusing areas, or is there any areas of the world that kind of fancy your interest right now? Like, this spot is growing.
I think here's the thing. My specialty is, like I said, it's still more lifestyle driven. Meaning, there's a difference between the Elons of the world,
Sure,
who are like,
there's only one Elon, bro. Fuck.
No, there are more. They're I think they're different. Maybe they're not as they don't publicize themselves as much, but they're doing incredible things. I think I operate on more of like the principle, going back to the lessons over the last, say, decade for me, is the 80-20 principle. It's like, how do I get to 80% with 20% of my effort?
Sure.
Because by nature, I think as all of us humans are, we're slackers. There's only a small percentage of people are really hardworking. And I've also recognized that, like, when you start hiring people, it's not like, it's a very small, I'm like, what are education system, even these people who are graduating from these universities, what are we pumping out here? I'm on the other side of hiring. I'm like,
that's how
whoa,
that's why you got to headhunt, bro. You don't hire off the streets.
Yeah, but even we're in a privileged position where we have an audience that follows us and things like that.
Yeah, but the good people aren't sitting at home looking for jobs.
Yeah,
you got to headhunt them. You got to convince them to leave, man. And we do it all the time.
Yeah, so definitely that's the next direction I should get at, and that's what I'm kind of doing now. And I understand that from that idea. But what I'm trying to say is that for myself, I just find, and I knew this being a Canadian and starting our business here, where most people, get it twisted in Europe or anywhere else, they focus on their local market.
Yeah.
And 10 years ago, it was almost 10 years ago, right? When we started our first business, I knew right away, where's the biggest consumer in the world? And literally you go, as I referenced before, I was just in LA, and to anybody from US listening, but the culture there is consumerism.
It's California, bro. That's where you're
But I'm saying, but all of US, if you just
Yeah.
think about as or North America, and it's spreading everywhere around the world. But this is the mecca culture of US is consumption. It's, it's keeping up the Joneses. Bigger house, more cars, like more stuff. They probably are the leading self-storage solutions of the world. Like, what in the world do we have that you're renting space to keep your stuff that you bought and accumulated over the years? So in a way, exploit that to a degree. You just understand that. Even growing up in Canada, I knew that the consumer is more conservative here, and they're more conservative in Europe too. In US, they don't think as much in regards to when it comes to trying stuff out or buying something new. They're really into it, and I just knew right away that this is the market that we got to be in regards to getting that best 80 to 20.
Yeah,
where we're gonna get the most leverage and results is definitely in that market.
Yeah.
And I think, but going even to these ideas that we're talking about in regards to eco and solutions and these trends, it's also in US. They're just more gone through all those cycles. They're more open to these ideas. And I remember speaking to my also other restaurateur friend that I mentioned before, is that I said, how come we don't have as many cool restaurants as New York does? And he said, culturally, in London and the UK, people are not as open to new as they are stateside, especially in a city like New York.
Gotcha.
So I think to test a lot of new ideas and concepts, you still have to go to a culture that's more open to it. Like, yeah, cool, we'll try out this new stuff. We'll give you, like, even, raising money. It's way easier in US.
I'd push back. It's getting easier in Canada.
For sure, because it's changing.
Much easier.
It's changing probably. But I'll say, even coming from London, people think London, like the wealthiest city in the world. I've also invested in that ecosystem in regards to angel investing, things like that. Valuations are way lower than the US or even Canada.
Well, it's not a startup place.
Yeah, but no, we do have fintech. We have some kind of startups. But I'm saying it does translate to other areas. But at the core, it's that cultural thing of, cool, let's try it, let's do it. And I think when it comes to investing in US or consuming in US, they're just down. They're like, cool, let's do this. They're like, why not? We're more sensitive, conservative.
You need to, this is a complete segue, but you need to talk to your restaurant friend.
Misha,
Misha, and ask him one. I have one.
What's the question?
Bro, why is there no Michelin restaurants in all of Canada?
Oh, it's just a license. So the way it works is, it's not that the restaurants don't get Michelin. You, as a country or as a city, can have to actually invite them in and pay them a license.
So Canada,
to operate in the country.
So Canada has to pay the Michelin organization?
So they just have to, all they have to do is they just have to say like, hey, Michelin, we'd like you to be in our
Are you sure
country.
about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm fairly confident that. If they pay them
But who's they? Like the government?
The Michelin Guide.
Like who's paying Michelin? Like,
so Michelin's like a company.
No, I know, but like
the government.
The Ontario Premier.
So it's the same thing. Think about like tourism.
Yeah.
You have like the Canadian Tourism Board or the California Tourism Board. I remember seeing it somewhere like it wasn't available in some cities, and then the city would just like pay them.
Bro, someone needs to create a competitor to Michelin.
Yeah, no, I think it's
good.
Definitely, I see opportunity. See something that's missing, go into it. And
I actually had a business idea with my brother.
Yeah,
a couple of days ago, I had to go help him because he moved to a new condo, and he had to return some stuff to IKEA. I'm like, I fucking hate returning shit.
Yeah,
I'm like, I just might as well lose the money. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
my time's more valuable.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna spend my time with my brother.
Yeah.
So right there, I'm like, and I'm just Googling. I'm like, is there a service that returns shit for me?
Yeah, I invested in one. I lost my money.
There's nothing in Canada.
Yeah, there was.
Where, in Canada?
No, in US there was, but they didn't. So I was one of the angel investors onto Ship.
Ship?
SHYP.
How did they do it though?
I think it was an incredible concept. That's why I
Yeah.
invested. So same problem.
Yeah.
You like, I think like yourself or myself, we hate returning. All you had an app. All you have
Yeah.
to do is you don't even have to package stuff.
Yeah.
So you have these headphones
Sure.
and you want to return them. You take a picture with their app.
Yeah.
They come in, they come pick it up. They'll package it for you.
Yeah.
And they'll charge you like $5 plus the shipping cost.
So why did it fail?
I think the way they just they realized actually as well the consumer market, they realized the actual business was not in the consumer, it was actually in B2B.
Exactly. That was my whole. That was my fucking approach. Fuck the consumers. It's a B2B.
Yeah. So I wish they worked out, but they raised a lot of money. And they failed. I thought, I was very wealthy on paper.
Yeah. Paper wealth.
Yeah.
That's another thing people don't get. They need to get. It's like a mind fuck. It's like, I'm $10 million rich.
There's a lot of those.
I'm like, no, you're not.
I actually heard I don't know if you heard of this term. I think it's called a Henry.
No, a Henry.
It was a Henry. It's like, it's like, what was it? It was kind of like a high earner, not really rich yet.
High earner, not really
Henry.
rich yet.
So a high earner, not really rich yet. So it just speaks about these people who are working in these startups.
Yeah.
Who are maybe making $200,000-$300,000.
Yeah.
And then their paper equity, they're worth like potentially millions.
Sure.
And then the whole WeWork thing happens.
Yeah, but the WeWork is you can see the fucking writing on the wall from day one, man. Well, I remember when WeWork came out, I'm like, oh, the McDonald's model. That's what I thought right away.
Yeah.
Real estate. Yeah. Like owning. No! Motherfuckers are leasing. I mean, what is this? This is a fucking Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
You're just leasing. You have no assets. You have nothing. I'm like, you can't run this, man.
Yeah. I was surprised by that too. But what I was trying to say is a lot of people in that company who even just recently got fired, I'm sure were like living the life. And
of course they were.
So these Henrys.
But you can't blame them, man. Like, listen, imagine you're in like a month or 2 months away from an IPO and you're looking at your equity, it might be worth like $3 million. That's like life-changing money.
Yeah.
Life fucking changing. Bro, getting $300K cash liquid for people, that's life-changing money.
So even these people who are making $200,000 to $300,000, that's the thing is that what this people that was discussing this term is the Henrys. There's a lot of Henrys out there, and it can be men or female, right? And they're spending like they're rich, but they're not rich yet. And there's a big difference between, I think we know as well, even in the city. I remember reading an article, was it Toronto Life or something like that, how there's so many people who are like living here in Rosedale, which is one of the best neighborhoods, have their kids in private school, they have a cottage, they're making even, let's say, $500,000, $2 million in income, but they're like insolvent because they're just spending too much.
Well, here's my thing to them. They're just fucking idiots. You see this violin right here?
Yeah, but like, it's like, I think a lot of people with the same thing, going back to what I said before, keeping up with the Joneses, we get caught up. And I can see it. It's tempting, but it's important to stop yourself from doing that, because it's, I live in a neighborhood where a lot of my neighbors have Ferraris and all sorts of fancy cars, but I'm just like, I like my bicycle. Yeah. And I like to bike to work. Yeah. And I don't need a Ferrari. My being parked there, that's what they're just parked most of the day, just so I can have an ego boost. Yeah. Of like, hey, I have a Ferrari that I drive on the weekends. So I'm saying it's a lot of self-discipline that we have to do to be like, do I really want that? Do I really need that house? Do I really need to like, it's even people now moving out to the suburbs and things like that. It's like, okay, you want this bigger house for yourself. Do you really need that extra 1,000 square foot of space? Yeah. Or will you be more happier actually being closer to your family in that smaller house? I think that's why living in Europe over the last 7 years or being close to it, because now we're Brexit, so we're not part of Europe as well. Fucking what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of cultural sensibilities there that I really have learned, that I really respect. And then it comes to just, it's okay to be like in a small flat in the city, but you're close to proximity to what you want. Yeah. And maybe I can have a bigger house in the suburbs, but that's my choice because I feel like I get more out of what I get around the area. Well,
you're the king at like experiences. I think that's the most important thing in life.
Totally. I think I always kind of joke, or people joke about me, like I live like a billionaire. Yeah. And what I'm saying is that because the most important asset that you really have once you realize is your time.
Yep.
Like time is money, like the more than money. It's the, and if you configure your life in that way, where you can get more of that time and freedom for yourself to do what you want and structure things how you want, you really don't need much. I think most people try to do too much in regards to, okay, I need to build this huge giant company in order for me to have more time. And then they get it and they get scared and they want to build another company. There's this whole vicious cycle. So I have my wife and Mimi, and we do our best to try to keep ourselves in check, like all the time. Like, do I really need that? Do I really want that? Even when you have money, to actually be more disciplined with yourself.
Yeah, listen, I think it all depends on your situation, how you're hardwired, what you want out of life. Like, everyone's different, man. Like, if I have a crazy exit and I get like 50 million, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm dumping that into a next business. Because that's how I'm fucking mentally wired.
Yeah.
Like, I have to be working.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not, it's like I'll commit suicide. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Nothing's going on. It's like, oh my God.
Well, it's a good time to also self-reflect and think, like, where's that coming from, right? Or like, how do I actually work with those forces and think kind of long-term for, like, out of that. I think that
I get bored easily. That's it.
And we all get bored.
Yeah.
I totally understand where you're at. I think a lot of entrepreneurs are very like ADHD.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I don't have ADHD. Like, I do and I don't. If once I narrow in on something, it's the opposite of ADHD. It's like OCD. It's like I have to be doing it 24/7.
Yeah, I would say most people, and this is going back to the education system.
Yeah.
Is that we just haven't been properly educated or trained to actually, that's our nature as humans, I believe, is to be more like that. Meaning, once something that piques your interest, you get deep into it. So, for example, our daughter, she goes to like a more of a Montessori type of school.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos is investing a lot. I think he's committed to like a few billion to develop early childhood Montessori type schools in the U.S. And the reason for that is how it's different from traditional education. And as being parents who are now looking into it, a Montessori type of schools, if they're done properly, a lot of them are marketing. They're not real Montessori schools. They're actually child-led. So meaning, if my daughter is in the classroom, let's say in her nursery, and she's really into something, they're not going to interrupt her. Right? But how do most schools operate? They're like, okay, it's time to gather around the circle. Hey, Alexa, come here. And, they like, I don't care what you're doing here, and being like deeply into and focus into it.
Yeah.
It's part of, you have to be part of the classroom collective. I'm going to tell you what to do. It's time to read whatever the story. But instead of letting us as humans develop our interest and pique our interest, that's the thing. We create the best things, best art is when we're really into something. If you think about all the people, even from the Elon now, or Steve Jobs and the organization he's built, or Tesla's or previous, inventors and things like that, they were deeply into what they're doing. And I think that's the secret.
Yeah.
Is to really be focused in and not be kind of jack of all trades of everything.
Yeah, listen, I say this a lot. I know people push back, but I think you know Steven Sisler, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, him and I talk a bunch.
Yeah, I need another test from Steve.
Well, he just updated. It's good.
Oh yeah.
Really
sweet.
Good. I think it really goes back to understanding how you're genetically and epigenetically for software wired. Everybody's different. So we try to like put ourselves in. So we have imposter syndrome, or we see like, oh, Alex is this way, so I got to follow Alex.
Yeah.
Or people say Ameer is this way. I'm like, no, don't follow me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you need to figure out how you're wired.
Totally.
And based on how you're wired, you have superpowers.
Yeah.
And then you have weaknesses.
Yeah.
Like, figure out what your superpowers are.
Yeah.
You mentioned something, integrator for a business.
Yeah.
I'm not a fucking integrator.
Yeah.
I got to hire them. That's the first person I
Same.
hire.
Yeah.
Your integrator, your COO, your logistics,
Yeah.
come on board.
Yeah.
I'm the bulldozer.
Yeah.
I'll go break down the whole thing, and you got to clean up after me. Right? I can sit here all day and look at all the courses and sit down with the top coaches about integration.
Yeah. You just don't. Same thing. When I worked with Lulu, our general manager, and our kind of now who's the CEO of the business, and working with her was just such an enlightening moment for me. It was the same thing. Like when I got out of my way and saying like I don't have to be this person who like does everything and has my like hands on everything.
Yeah.
And actually like go and let somebody else who has different wiring and be like, oh my god, you're actually excited about Excel sheets and operations and no, but like I didn't believe that, right? I'm like, oh, people are just pretending to be. No, but she genuinely was. Yeah, it was hard. It's hard for anybody. It's challenging, but it's way easier for her to operate in that way than for me and you to try to like be that. I can try. I can kind of be okay at it, but I'll never be as good as she is at actually figuring that out. And same thing I'll say with me and certain, just visionary kind of, there's just stuff that pops into our head that's like, this is how it's going to be. Like we just have this internal compass and feeling of consumer trends and how people interact or how the way that things will look. And this is how I want it to look and deliver, right? Those are like my strengths. And for me right now, same things, like how do I put myself in that position to be operating from my strength? And I think, Ray Dalio is big on that, right? Just in principles and really understanding yourself and how you operate and your team around you. I think it's huge and something that you mentioned Steven Sisler. As I'm hiring out people now, I'm definitely going to do that because a lot of people like we market ourselves or present ourselves in a certain way, but how do we actually are? So I'm curious, how did he update his?
I started putting this new like mathematical thing called Xology.
Oh wow!
And I went through he'll tell you. But yeah, it's good, man. Like it's really, really good.
I really believe that. I think it's so important for anybody, especially in business. That can be your fault. And that's another thing. Is like hiring somebody who are similar like you.
Of course, man.
I was recently listening to also Toby from Shopify on Dan Martell's podcast.
Cool.
And he was just speaking about how one of his early investors told him like everyone on your team are like you. You're very similar. You need somebody who's different. That's how I was able then to bring other people who think differently and bring a different perspective than how you operate and how you think. So that's why I just get out of your way,
That's right, man. Cool, man. Anything else you want to touch base on, cover?
I'm good. I'm just excited, I guess. So even what are some trends you thinking that are for the next decade? Because as we wrap up, this will probably be your last podcast of the year.
Yes. So I'll break it down in a couple of things. I think there'll be more political turmoil between North America and China. I think keep an eye out on that. I think you're going to see more and more separation within political groups. I think we're headed for another recession, much worse than 2008.
How's that going to play out? Why do you think that?
Just based on quantitative easing, negative interest rates happening in Europe. United States might do negative interest rates in the future. Then you look at the student loan crisis, which is north of $2 trillion in North America, which you cannot claim bankruptcy on. You can claim bankruptcy on everything else. So if people don't know this, let's say you have $50K in student loans, both for United States and Canada. United States has Social Security. Canada has the Canadian pension plan. They will take away your old age pension if you don't pay back your student loans. It's slavery at the end of the day.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So the question is, no one has that money to pay back. Doesn't exist. Who's going to pay back? Who owns the paper for the $2 trillion? Right? Who's a guarantor of that? Then for like business, I think it's interesting. Like there's certain verticals that I'm following. I'm following farmland. Farmland has been the best performing asset in North America in the last decade. And so it's like we are going to be more and more relying on domesticated food production. How do we focus on creating biodiversity type of farming as opposed to monocrop farming? Kind of similar to how Joe Salatin has his polyface farming. That's going to be a massive trend, like massive trend. Luckily, Guelph has a great fund. I think they have a $20 million fund that they're focusing on agriculture. So that's a huge trend. It's focusing on agriculture. The biotech trend, it's going to be more and more into CRISPR and gene editing stuff. That's interesting to pay attention to. And I think more and more people coming to realization with the China stuff is like logistics, supply chain, and what's happening in China. How can I now? I don't want to be at the mercy of that. I don't want to deal business with that anymore. How do I bring manufacturing back? How do I control my supply chain as opposed to being at the mercy of their supply chain?
Yeah, no, it's happening. Like I said, even on the micro level of our business, that's what we're doing. We're currently looking to bring back manufacturing to the US or to wherever our customers are to be more closer to them.
But I think for growing profitable businesses, I think we're finally seeing the illusion of how people perceive Silicon Valley, like the Ubers and the WeWorks. You know what I mean? For me, I'm not against that, but I'm against the valuations and how they do business. Like these are like privately inflated valuations that their burn rate is in the millions per month. They don't have any
hundreds of millions.
Yeah, they don't have any profit whatsoever. They dumped out on the public markets. Obviously, this is how investors make money.
Yeah.
And then that company's running on negative EBITDA for the next decade, right?
Yeah.
And I think this type of business model, it's going to be evaporating soon. I think more and more is going to be focusing on real profitable business from day one. None of this like hyper accelerated. I need to have X, Y, and Z. I want profits, which is healthy.
Yeah,
like, really
that's
fucking
what it
healthy,
should be.
right?
Yeah.
And I think we will be heading into a very sticky recession. I don't know what's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back on that.
Yeah, because the party's been going on for a long time.
Bro, man, just look at it. All you got to look at is quantitative easing, inflation, and interest rates.
Well, I've been following it, but it seems like the party's still going. I think one of the interesting bits on that is how the U.S. started lowering rates again. They were hiring them, and they should be if they are saying the economy is robust and everything.
Yeah.
But why do they start lowering them?
They have to.
What do you mean? Why do they have to?
To propagate the market, man. Listen, like the earning per individual, earnings per capita, or the wage that people make has been stagnant since the 70s. Stagnant. Same job, stagnant. You look at cost of living in cities. People can't do it anymore.
No. Yeah.
Americans have $400 in savings on average.
Yeah.
Canadians aren't that far off.
Uh-huh.
We are a debt nation, and I group Canada and the United States together. We're a debt nation. People are in debt.
Yeah.
Like heavy, heavy debt. And their wages aren't going up. Taxes go up. Cost of living goes up. There's only one direction this is going to head.
Mm-hmm.
A collapse.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cool. Well, we'll see what happens. I would say like it seems like
Europe has negative interest rates places where if I keep money in the bank, they take my fucking money.
Yeah. I don't know what I would do.
Capital flight, man. You just leave. You take your money elsewhere. You put in some assets, whether it's real estate, gold, silver, some commodities. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think, what else? What are you excited for the next decade for yourself?
I don't know. Want to have a family next year or two.
Yeah.
That's always cool. Besides business, like, I don't know. I've been paying a lot of attention and focusing on the farming stuff. That's kind of like my side.
I like that.
My side hustle, my side kind of like where I spend a lot of time studying and analyzing.
We actually, Mimi and I talked about that.
Yeah.
That we want to buy.
Well, Jason has a farm now.
Yeah.
50 acres, like 52 acres.
Yeah, we were interested in that. With its own, we want to have our own spring.
Yeah.
Be off the grid.
Yeah. So yeah, my cottage is like that. It's off the grid, has its own spring, everything. But yeah, like just for me, it's like one from an investment aspect, it's really good. Like you're investing in an asset, it's appreciating asset. You can use that as collateral, good LTV for collateral, as well as you're really focusing on the trend of like how do we create very highly profitable, you can call them like biodynamic organic farms or polyphase farming, where we can support local economy. We can have a very profitable piece of land. And it's really good as an investor. Like I was interviewing this guy, and it's not there, but Curtis Stone, he's in Kelowna where I used to live. He specializes in organic urban farming, where you can create a profitable business and make $100,000 a year on like a quarter acre.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's amazing, man. So think about a quarter acre, you can make $100K a year planting like certain herbs and crops that you can sell to like the stores and the restaurants around the area.
And it's like, local.
So stuff like that's interesting. More like, and for me, then focusing on politics would be like pushing more in like city states and decentralized governments Yeah. Bunch of shit, bro. I'm
man.
all over the place.
Exciting.
Yeah. Cool, man. Alex, always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, brother.